Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome back to the sandbox mode where today we are going to be building our first melee craft of the new season, of the new reboot of From the Depths on the channel. And to do this, we're going to be messing around with spin blocks, on spin blocks, on spin blocks, possibly on spin blocks, perhaps even then on spin blocks, to take advantage of the fact that spin blocks on spin blocks will already get the speed of the original, and then will be able to be turned on themselves, and then so will the next one, and so will the next one, until eventually you are getting to absolutely insane speeds. Will this actually affect the rams? Will it make them any more effective, or is it just going to look really stupid? Either way, I think I'm going to be incredibly happy. So that's what we're doing today. We're trying to make a somewhat compact ship eater. That's it. That's all we're doing. I want it to be able to attack other ships on the water. I want it to be using the brand new steam engines. And by steam engines, I mean the steam... Where are you? Thrusters, are they called? Here we are, the steam jets. A jet that directly converts steam into force. Works in water, air, and vacuum, which means we can turn this into a ship killer in the future if we so desire. There's actually quite a few things I want to do with going to space, for instance, throwing enemies up in the air, but for now, we're gonna stick with it just on something like this. Now, before we get going though, there is a bit of bad news. I am now on a brand new computer. I will be talking about the specs most likely in the future when I'm a bit more awake, but all you need to know is this computer is much better than my old one in pretty much every way, so hopefully that'll make videos a bit faster to create, and it should make the whole experience a lot more fun for me. However, it turns out that From the Depths no longer has the Steam Sync option. Well, it has the option, but it doesn't actually sync up your designs, which means I've lost all the designs of the new season. Now, before everyone panics, okay, panic a little bit, it turns out that's not really so much of a big issue, since all those designs I was going to have to redo anyway when the new update comes out with the campaign, so we haven't really lost anything except for practice designs, and from now on, I will be manually backing up every single design I create, and of course the campaign save itself. Now, the reason why this all happened is because you could have the Steam Sync option on. I thought it was syncing up at the end of the videos. In fact, when I checked, I could have sworn it was working, and because of that, I just assumed, and I assumed very, very wrongly. This is why you should always make double backups of everything, especially if you're a professional YouTuber like me. Lesson learned, won't happen again. But for now, let's focus on destroying things. So, just a quick test of the spin blocks then. Right now, we have this lovely automated control block going off every 0.1 seconds. We're going to go over to spin blocks and set rotation speed to something really slow. And you'll see that the top spin block is going significantly faster than the middle is going faster than the bottom. And if we turn that all the way up to max... wrong option. If we turn that all the way up to max... You can't really tell that much of a difference, but when it comes to the weapons themselves, the rams, if we highlight them, rams do melee damage. The higher the impact velocity, the higher the damage, and in fact it goes into more details, adds additional damage based on the mass of the spin block or turret and own speed, if applicable. Now, I'm not sure if that speed does mean the actual spin block itself, and it doesn't really matter, because I'm going to be doing this regardless if the speed of the spin block is very, very significant, because it's going to look really cool if we set the speed to a more moderate amount, because it makes really cool looking patterns as the spin block goes round and round and round. And I am going to make the spin block very heavily armoured as well. So then, let's get to work. And of course, we're going to start off by working on the spin block itself, which will be at the very front of the craft. This should hopefully be very, very front heavy, and most likely we are also going to use some harpoons. Well, we might do, because I have a feeling we can get away with this craft being surprisingly cheap if we just go with the spin block as its only weapon. And then, that'll be a load of fun. So I think I'm going to do is have the middle of the craft for once between two blocks rather than just being in between a single block. In other words, rather than being like this, which is how I normally build things, we're going to have it like this. So the center is directly in the middle. This way, when we add the spin blocks, we can have them both nice and even. They'll meet next to each other, and that should make some really awesome patterns, as long as one is going in reverse, in terms of its controls at least, so they're both going the same way, but synchronized together. So this is how we're going to do this then. So we put a new spin block here, and this is the one which is going to be copy and pasted over and over again. In the very center of the spin block, it's going to be heavy armor. Then it's going to just go to regular metal, because heavy armor is way too expensive and way too heavy. And it's going to go all the way to the edge here, and of course be mirrored the other side, and then mirrored up and down as well. So it's going to have 4 points, all covered in rams. And I think that will look okay, and it will be an easy way to defend the spin block itself. So I said this is going to be cheap. You know, I don't think it is. I think I'm instantly going back on that. But the point is, it's going to be hilarious to watch. When you stack them all up, yeah, that is pretty terrifying, gotta be honest with you. At the moment, though, nothing's been set up correctly, so if I start them spinning, it won't quite have the effect I want. So, just start it every few seconds, that's fine, or actually several times per second. Spin blocks, rotation speed. I mean, that's a cool effect. But imagine if it was mirrored instead, and eventually it should, if I'm correct, line itself back up, though it might take a while. Yep, there it goes, and it's now lined up again at the top. Yeah, if that was mirrored, so this side was doing the same. So all we need to do is basically reverse this side while keeping this side going at the current direction. Sorry, I got very distracted there by about a million different things. Okay, let's set that up. Armor up the outside here, get it all nice and spiky. The problem is, I guess, the spikes aren't really going much further in front of the armor itself, which could be a problem if this gets stuck. But if we have good enough jets, so we're moving fast enough, if these jets are even that good, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Plus, with smaller ships like the Marauder, this is going to be hilarious. So I find that any faster than this, and the pattern is completely lost. But yeah, when it all syncs up again, that looks lovely. I'm just hoping that at this speed, it's still good enough to do some serious damage. Current speed of the ram is 5 meters. Ah, it's very slow. Okay, I've got a test for this. I'm going to spawn one of these in and simply drop it on a ship. Let's see if it does any damage. Okay, I dropped one previously, it hit, and then kind of bounced off. So let's see if this one sticks a little bit longer. Well, it's got stuck because there isn't any rams on the side or anything, and there's no forward momentum, but it was doing damage to everything it was touching. Maybe this speed will be okay. Here's the thing, we can always change it later. It's not exactly difficult to change this. Well, yeah, still definitely wreaking havoc on wooden ships. Probably far less on metal and heavy armor, but okay. We'll stick with this speed for now, because it's just how I want it to look. I've made loads of spin blocks in the past, so having something a little bit different like that is pretty nice. Also, this is going off just one control block, which means I can put it back here and make it far more heavily armoured. Also, why do I still have this like, tail section? That can go away. So, is it safe to put blocks here? Ooh, now this will probably not be okay. They can be a bit weird with spin blocks. Okay, visually, they are clipping, but it doesn't seem to be affecting them, so that looks like as far forward as I can go. Okay, now to make a rudimentary hull and a bit of a defended section back here. There's not all that much for me to add to this, just a really basic AI, which is going to say, go towards the thing, and then forward propulsion and turning. That's all this really needs. Of course, then later on, we can add missiles if we so desire, but this will make it way more expensive, because the missiles are expensive, and it will also mean we'll need an ammo store, which is explosive. And not in a good way. Oh, these are lovely. So there's some new material storage blocks. They all do the same stuff, but yeah, that's really nice. So we have coal now. Small tanks, which I think may have been there before, actually. Huge cargo containers. That's really nice. Is it just me, or does the animation from the Steam look a little bit off? You'd think it'd be throwing that backwards. Ooh, wonder what happens if we reach 2000 of 2000 with the current force output. Do these take damage, or are they okay? Whoa, okay, so, yep, they're definitely pushing this thing down. We do not need this much. And now we are very, very much underwater. Okay, so we also, of course, need this thing to be able to float, note to self. Or at least give it some serious pitch controls. Actually, do we need it to float? No, we don't, because what we could do is, at the front, on the sides here, we could have some pitch controls using ion thrusters, or perhaps even these. That way, we can hunt things like subs. But at that point, this becomes a go after anything sort of ship. And I wanted it to purely be an anti-ship ship. Would you even call this a ship? It's going to be just a bundle of mechanics. With very little space. Don't know. Let's test a few things out. I was purposefully trying to test if this thing could fly. Obviously, I didn't just mess up one of the controls and send it into space. Oh god, we could so easily... It looks so not graceful. And yet very quick. Well, okay then. Oh, it's gonna be a hunter of everything, isn't it? It has to be. I mean, look at that. That's so stupid. Wow. So, it turns out it's actually quite easy to set the steam engines to give this thing the pitch it needs. So all we need is turning and roll, and that's it. Either we use steam for roll and turning as well, or we can use ion thrusters or something else, because if it's going to have to be water and hunting things in the air, it kind of needs everything. Also, just ignore how badly all this is set up at the back. It's just for testing, I swear. And then air mode. Yep. Yep. So to confirm then, we are going to be sticking as a water vehicle. I'm not sure if I'm going to allow this thing to hunt subs, but at very minimum it's going to be on the water surface and simply go towards the target and then devour them all the way through. We could very easily make it airborne, we could very easily set it up like the old Moor, or whatever I actually called it, which was underwater and then would surface to attack an enemy, or could just hunt other subs. But this time, I just want to see a normal-ish ramming ship. That's it. We are practicing, and if we can get this to work almost purely off AI and not using any real control blocks, that would be fantastic. And fun. Okay, there we are. That looks really brutal, which I really, really approve of. So what we're going to do is have all of the turning and the pitch at the very back. It'll be easier to protect, and because the centre of mass is going to be so far forward because of this thing, it's going to be quite difficult to add all of the turning at the front. I'm actually surprised, but right now this is only just over 10,000 resources, so this is still going to end up being quite cheap and just a distraction/fun unit, which I really, really approve of. The only thing we need to sort out really is how this thing is going to stay afloat in the water, and what I'm probably going to do is either add some deady blades in the centre, or just some propellers along the bottom, set them up with control blocks or a PID. What I really should do is start looking at the other AI forms, like the breadboard and everything else. These are all new things which I've been shying away from since I'm still relearning, but I do need to start incorporating them into my builds, otherwise I'm never going to get better. I'm lower mediocre at the moment. Eventually, I'll just be mediocre. And then my mom will be proud of me. Okay, we'll armor this up in a second. The AI will obviously not just be there completely exposed. Gonna have 2 small battery chambers just for the propulsion systems which aren't steam. Which honestly, most of them will be. Actually, do we even need that then really? We could just go completely steam powered and then we don't have to produce any engine power. Maybe that might be best. Don't really know just yet. What else? There's honestly not much else now to really discuss. Just completely armor this up, and it's good to go. Currently, we are at 16,000 resources, so we're going to be just over 20 by the time this is ended. Actually, how expensive are the steam jets anyway? Oh, only 50. Now, you might be wondering, Lathrix, why are you using the steam jets when there are, you know, propellers? The new steam propellers. And it's purely because I want to see how good they are in the water. That's all, because they are universal, they can work anywhere. I want to see for the future how good they are in the water, and it's just a new item. So it's not so much, this is the best item for the job, it's Lathrix wants to see a fun thing, which is 99% of all builds. Okay, it can now turn towards the target. It has more than enough power for most of the stuff, it's just a little bit on the slow side still. It really needs to be far faster than this. So I did some tests with far more speed, and what I noticed was it still bounced off the enemy. If it's moving slowly like this, well, it just obliterates. So what I think I need to do is add a secondary propulsion system for when it's further away from the target, and then when it's close enough, slows down and just buries itself. That was a bastion, by the way. Oh, that is phenomenal. Also, it kind of looks like a razor, I've just realised. An electric razor. Anyway, yeah, so currently it can hold itself at this altitude. I'm purposely keeping it just under the water. So slow it down when it's about to hit the target, but it needs more speed otherwise, because right now it's only moving about 20 meters per second, which is nothing in this game. It will be caught out by anything firing at it. I love spin blocks. I love the fact that even moving that slowly, it's still effective. Okay, I forgot to turn off God mode, I've just realised, so I'm going to do another test versus a smaller target, and let's see if it breaks itself at all. Can you not fire, though? I just want to see if it breaks itself when it reaches. I know it will die to cram shots to the face. That's pretty much a given. Oh, that is lovely. And dead. Just dead. It's currently only costing us 18,500 resources, by the way, so this thing is cheap. I just want to keep on testing versus things right now. Definitely needs some kinks being ironed out, though. Definitely. Oh, hello. Yep. Ow. Did we live? All spinners still online. Okay, it can survive a cram to the face because of the heavy armor around the spin blocks. Good to know. I'm not in God mode, right? Yep, cool. Yeah, I think the altitude it's currently at is perfect, just below the waterline. Okay, now is where the ship itself is going to start taking some damage because it's getting stuck inside the enemy's armor. Never mind, it's gone through. Okay, he killed it. Oh, that is beautiful. The blood will flow. Oh, although it's definitely broke something. You're not meant to be like that, buddy. Oh, you've knocked out both of the roller propellers. Okay, note to self, I need to be more prepared. Defended. Protected. That's what I was looking for. He went through. Did not expect that. Really did not expect that. Okay, so the test versus the plunderer. So, I really definitely need a secondary movement mode. But regardless, oh, once it catches up, it did do well, but hitting that spin block really bounced it down. So that's going to now go all the way back up, and it will have to do a second attack run. That's like the worst case scenario. You hit something which explodes, or another spin block, or something like that, and it knocks you away. So the AI is set up, so after I think 50 meters or so, it should turn and try another attack run. It is really interesting watching the AI do all of this, because back in the day, when you tried to make ramming vehicles, a lot of the time it would be control block controlled, or PID, or something else, because the AI itself normally couldn't handle everything to actually hit a target dead on. But this time it is just the mainframe with all the new options. So I don't fully understand it yet, which doesn't really help matters. But there we go, a much better hit this time. Oh, and into the air we go! So, yeah, explosives, they can be a problem. So, thinner enemies are actually more of a problem, because with the larger enemies, when it gets to tearing things apart, it also wedges the attack ship in place. But with the smaller targets like this, it's very easy to bounce up or down from the target, and here is where harpoons would really help out. It would hold everything in place a lot better. Oh, will it actually go through this time, or will it bounce again? Looks like it's going to start climbing. This looks perfectly halved it. Third time's the charm. Stop climbing on it. There we go. So with that, I'm afraid I am actually all out of time for today's video. This has been a bit of a simpler video today, just making something stupid, because this is the first video with the new computer. I've been setting all the stuff up. I've also been back in England looking after my mother, who hurt her wrist earlier last week, and because of all that, it's just been very, very hectic around here, and so it's been a relaxing and very, very fun episode. I will be completing this, perhaps even in the next video, so the main things we need: faster turning. I'm going to be fine-tuning the AI a little bit. I think it really, really, really needs either torpedoes or a second movement capability, just to be a little bit faster until it reaches the target. It really does seem like if you go any faster than it currently is when you actually hit a target, you tend to bounce really violently, and then you just have to keep on attacking over and over again. But as it is currently, it's just going to be shot down before it reaches absolutely anything. I'm not a massive fan of the steam jets, but at the same time, I have seen how good they are above the water, and they are fantastic there, and I feel like I'm just using them wrong. I've definitely got enough steam power to power them at their full 2,000 max force. It's just, they're not as good as some of the other options underwater, or at least from this early test. So with that, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed today's video, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths is a series you wish to see continued in the future. In the next episode, we continue to do practice builds, because I'm having loads of fun with it. Remember, the new campaign will be out as soon as the next update drops, in which everything really, really changes. And then, we can once again have the quest for Nita. Unless we do Ashes of the Empire again. Kind of love both. Tell me which one you'd like to see. Thank you, and goodbye. Spin to win.